After the divorce, Nicole Kidman began offering a far more extensive and methodical explanation of the elements that contributed to the gradual decline of her marriage to Keith Urban. Instead of presenting the situation with heightened emotion, dramatic phrasing, or personal accusations, she chose to organize her reflections into a clear, systematic breakdown of practical, observable patterns that developed over many years. She noted that the marriage functioned under a constant combination of professional demands, external pressures, and internal misalignments that were not always immediately visible, but slowly became defining characteristics of the relationship. Kidman explained that both she and Urban maintained careers that required continuous mobility, extensive promotional schedules, and large blocks of time spent in separate cities, countries, or even continents. This structure, she stated, created a logistical foundation that made consistent communication difficult, resulting in a pattern of unresolved matters that compounded as time went on. She emphasized that their conflicting calendars remained one of the biggest obstacles throughout the marriage. Often, one partner would be beginning a new project just as the other was completing one, reducing opportunities for uninterrupted time together. She described this as an ongoing cycle rather than an occasional inconvenience. According to her, communication during these periods frequently became limited to brief exchanges rather than in-depth discussions, preventing them from addressing important topics with clarity or continuity. Kidman stated that this uneven communication contributed to misunderstandings that were not dramatic in isolation, but became problematic when repeated across many months and years. Kidman also discussed the role of public scrutiny in shaping the environment in which the relationship operated. She acknowledged that attention from the media magnified relatively minor issues and often prompted external speculation, which occasionally influenced how she and Urban viewed their own situations. She explained that navigating private challenges in a climate of public commentary required additional effort, planning, and discretion. Over time, this added another layer of stress to an already complicated set of circumstances, making it more difficult to establish a stable baseline for their personal life. In her more detailed reflections, Kidman outlined differences in lifestyle rhythms that developed as the marriage progressed. She noted that the daily routines associated with their respective careers, such as preparation, travel, performance, and recovery, rarely aligned in a way that supported long-term stability. She described this mismatch as subtle at first, but progressively more evident as she examined the trajectory of the relationship in retrospect. She explained that the contrast in schedules created prolonged stretches during which they operated almost independently, even while still legally and publicly connected as a couple. Kidman highlighted that the marriage gradually shifted into a structure where both parties were fulfilling responsibilities independently, but without consistent overlap. This pattern, she said, made it increasingly difficult to maintain cohesion, as the limited periods they did spend together were often overshadowed by catch-up responsibilities, professional deadlines, or fatigue from travel and work. She clarified that no single conflict or isolated disagreement caused the breakdown. Instead, it was an accumulation of long-term logistical obstacles, combined with mismatched expectations and communication inconsistencies that ultimately created an unsustainable environment. When discussing the turning point that led to the eventual separation, Kidman described it not as an emotional decision, but as a practical assessment. She stated that the choice emerged from analyzing the repeated patterns and concluding that the circumstances were not improving despite their attempts to manage them. She clarified that the decision to separate was not based on sudden developments, but on recognizing the long-term trajectory of the marriage. Her intention, she explained, was to describe the situation in a way that provided clarity without assigning blame or creating sensational interpretations. She also mentioned that reviewing the marriage after its end allowed her to identify lessons related to boundaries, personal structure, and communication strategy. She emphasized the importance of understanding logistical limitations within a relationship, acknowledging the weight of external pressures, and recognizing the long-term effects of unresolved patterns. According to Kidman, the value of her reflections lay in recognizing the influence of practical realities and accepting that certain relational structures cannot be sustained when the underlying conditions consistently work against stability. Overall, Kidman's explanation focused on presenting a detailed account of the structural, logistical, and communication-related factors that shaped the marriage from beginning to end. Her narrative remained analytical and straightforward, without dramatization or emotional embellishment. She aimed to provide a comprehensive overview of the circumstances, explaining the progression of events in a factual, orderly, and systematic manner to show how the relationship reached the point where separation became the most realistic option.